Good morning, I am Gillian Baxter and this is your morning weather briefing for Friday the 12th of August 2011. Today's brief will include information on the UK, Europe, Scandinavian precipitation and finally global weather alerts. But first we take a look at the West European 5-day average temperatures, and starting with days 11 to 15 there has been generally little change compared with yesterday, with medium to high confidence in temperatures remaining near or up to 1 degree below average across much of Europe, though temperatures remain slightly above average across Spain. Looking at the 6 to 10 day time frame, and temperatures across northern and western regions of Europe, including the UK, France, Benelux and Germany, are expected to rise from 1 to 3 degrees below average on day 6 to 0 to 2 degrees above average by days 8 and 9. And finally, in the short term between days 2 and 5, temperatures across northern and western Europe remain 0 to 1 degree above average over the weekend, falling 0 to 1 degree below average by day 5. Temperatures remain at least 1 or 2 degrees above average across Spain, however. Now taking a look at the UK in more detail, and all the models remain in good agreement for temperatures to remain 1 degree above average today in a warm and unsettled southwesterly airflow, before falling over the weekend to 1 or 2 degrees below average through the beginning of next week, as low pressure moves across the north, introducing a cooler northwesterly airflow. Temperatures are then expected to rise slightly above average through the middle of the week. However, confidence in this rise in temperatures remains medium at best, given some divergence between the models, with the GFS ensemble at least 2 degrees lower than both the EC ensemble and Metro model. However, given the agreement between the Metro model and EC ensemble, I prefer the warmer scenario at present, and expect temperatures to rise 1 degree above average by Thursday the 18th. Temperatures then fall into the following weekend, remaining near or 1 degree below average through the following week. Now looking at Europe, and temperatures across Western Europe are expected to be similar to that of the UK, with temperatures generally near or up to 1 degree below average for days 11 to 15. Taking a look at Germany, for example, and temperatures rise from 1 degree below average today to 1 degree above average over the weekend in a warmer southwesterly airflow. Temperatures are then expected to fall 2 to 3 degrees below average through the beginning of next week, rising to 1 or 2 degrees above average again through the end of next week. Into the longer term, and temperatures gradually fall again over the weekend and through the following week to near or 1 degree below average. Temperatures are expected to remain slightly above average towards the southwest, however, with temperatures across Spain expected to be at least 1 or 2 degrees above average throughout the next 14 days. Now we look at Scandinavian precipitation, and generally unsettled conditions and near or above average rainfall totals are expected to persist across many southern and western areas over the next 7 days, with at least 20 to 50 millimetres of precipitation forecast, and locally over 100 millimetres in places across parts of southern Norway and northern Sweden. Below average precipitation is forecast across northern Finland and the far north of Norway, however, with just 2 to 10 millimetres forecast. Low pressure is then expected to remain dominant across Scandinavia beyond mid-month, with near or slightly above average rainfall totals expected, with another 10 to 30 millimetres of rainfall forecast across most regions, and 40 to 50 millimetres across Norway, locally up to 70 millimetres in the far west. Now we look at global weather alerts, which highlight significant deviations from normal, and starting with the USA, above average temperatures persist across many southern, central and northern states of the USA throughout the next 7 days, with mean temperatures generally 1 or 2 degrees above average across the southeast, 2 to 6 degrees above average across southwest, central and northern areas. In contrast, temperatures are 1 to 3 degrees below average across the southern Midwest and the northeast, and also across parts of the northwest, with temperatures locally up to 6 degrees below average along the Pacific Northwest coast and across northern California. Heavy precipitation and near or above average rainfall totals are also forecast across many northern and eastern areas, with up to an inch of rain forecast across much of the Midwest and northeast during the next 7 days, and over 3 inches of rainfall in places, though with little if any significant precipitation expected across western states, however. Temperatures are forecast to remain slightly above average across many northern and central areas of China over the coming week, with mean temperatures at least 1 or 2 degrees above average, locally up to 4 to 6 degrees above average across northern and northwestern areas. Temperatures remain 0 to 2 degrees below average across the south, however. It is also expected to be unsettled across many central areas of China over the coming days, including near Beijing and Shanghai, with locally up to 200 mm forecast during the next 7 days. Near or above average precipitation is expected across the far south of Brazil during the coming 7 days, with over 100 mm forecast locally across the Rio Grande do Sul, though with just 0 to 2 mm forecast across Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Below average rainfall totals are expected across much of northern and central Australia over the coming 7 days, though near or above average precipitation is forecast across the southeast and southwest, with generally 2 to 30 mm forecast and locally up to 80 mm in a few areas. Thank you for listening to today's weather brief. Goodbye.